Hello, leaders and training members. Yes, I know you're at home. I know that you're not bored yet because this all started. But at some point, we have to make sure that even when we have all of this time on our hands, that we can manage our time. So here is leadership lesson number 1, given to you by Miss Mosca from the Leaders in Training Empty Office to make sure that we can manage our time when we have too much time. 2 things, 2 objectives I want you to really remember today is 1, we need to make a routine. We're all going to say that out loud. Ready? I heard you. You said routine. And number 2, we need to make sure we stick to the routine. Now, you know, if we were at Leaders in Training right now, I would make you talk to your shoulder partner and ask them what this means to you, ask them what is the glow or what is good about trying to make and stick to a routine, and what is the grow, what can get better about trying to make and stick to a routine. We can't do our turn and talks and our connectivities right now, so just know that that would be in there, and you can kind of try to think on your own, or if you and your friend, other leader, watch this together, maybe y'all can text during it and say, what do you think? What's your glow and grow? That's just a suggestion. So if we want to make a routine and stick to a routine, why is this important? 1, it could be very easy to stay home all day and stay in your pajamas and just chill. There's nothing wrong with chilling, but we know that when all this ends someday, y'all are still going to have to be leaders of your community, productive, connected, and consistent. So when you make a routine, you need to have a time to wake up. Now, it's going to feel weird because on weekends are different than weekdays, but they all start to feel the same. Find at least 5 days in a row, just like we would normally, that you wake up at the same time. When you start waking up at the same time, it will frame your day, it will make sure that you're ready to take on the world, and that you feel productive at the end of the day. You should also make sure you have at least 5 things you want to accomplish that day. 5 things. Now we're going to talk a little bit later about backwards planning and what are some big items that you can put on this to-do list. Maybe they have to do with your family. Maybe they have to do with school. Maybe it has to do with leaders in training. If we talk about the buckets of what you're going to do with your time, we will get to that in mini lesson number 2. But first and foremost, I need you to start 1, waking up at the same time 5 days in a row, and 2, making a list of 5 things to do. Now, if you're not feeling well, if you're sick, if you have somebody in your family that's sick, of course you don't need to do this. So, all being said, if you're feeling normal for yourself and you are staying at home because you're not supposed to be out or talking to anyone, these are the first 2 steps to make a routine. Once you wake up 5 days in a row at the same time, and then you come up with 5 things to do, you need to also try very hard to have a range of time you go to bed. Now, you are a teenager. That's why I'm not trying to tell you that you need to have a bedtime, but you really should not be going to bed at 1 a.m. one day and then 10 p.m. at the other day and then not at bed at all the other day. So when I'm talking about a range of time, maybe it's between 11 p.m. and 12 a.m. You're going to go to bed. So I would have you talk in stand-up, hand-up, pair-up right now, or, we're not clapping, so we would do the elbow, but for now, that's okay. We got 1, wake up 5 days in a row at the same time. 2, come up with 5 things to do, and 3, make a range of time to go to bed. If you can get that done sometime in the next 2 days, y'all will be set, and we will be ready to get to the productivity of the next step. So this was Mini lesson, day 1, how to manage time when you have too much time, part 1. Part 2 is coming to you next. You may take your break. Well, hello, virtual leaders in training classroom. I hope you had fun with lesson number 1. We are back to our virtual leadership lessons. We are on lesson 2, which is part 2 of how to manage my time when I have too much time on my hands. At this time, as you know, as I'm looking at my empty classroom or program space, I would usually ask you to talk to your partner about what we talked about last time. I'll give you 10 seconds to do that. That was fun, huh? Having a conversation with yourself. That's some connectivity. So hopefully you remember the 2 things that we talked about that were here last time were to create a schedule and stick to a schedule. The 3 things that we said to create a schedule and stick to a schedule that can really work with you and the time you're having right now is to 1, wake up at the same time 5 days in a row. 2, that was your time to think about what 2 was. And 3, there is a range that you should be going to bed. So again, you are a leader in training. You do not need a bedtime, but you need to have a range that you go to bed at the same time, at least 5 days in a row. Remember, keep your weekends. And like I have been saying, only follow this advice if you, 1, feel not sick, so you are in good health. 2, this is also to keep you from socializing with people because we need to social distance. But like we said at Leaders in Training, social distancing does not have to mean social isolation. So we hope this is helping you. So far, LIT students, when we get to our Zoom calls and we do our check-ins by cohort, we will actually start checking in on these things. If anyone else is watching this who's not in Leaders in Training, this can really help you because you can check and make sure that this could be an actual thing that you finish by the end of the day today. We're going to talk about backwards planning goals. Backwards planning goals. I want you to think about that for a minute, not a minute really, but like 10 seconds about what you think that means. And I'm going to talk you to an example and really give you some homework or post-work from this mini lesson today. So, we have a lot of time on our hands. Remember how to time manage when we have too much time. We are going to use an example. If we're looking at 6 weeks out, if you make a list of 5 things that you're going to do each day, at the end of 6 weeks, there should be really some awesome stuff done. But that just doesn't happen. I don't want you to start writing a list of 5 things that you want to do every day that may not actually relate to each other or help you get to a longer term goal. So in lesson 1, we were just really talking about structure, and that's a short term goals you can get done. I'm going to clean around the house, I'm going to do the dishes today. Remember, we need to be SMART goals and be very specific and measurable about what your goals are. But we want to make sure that we can talk about having goals that backwards map to a bigger purpose. So at Leaders in Training, we know our purpose is to ensure and empower first generation college students to become the next generation of diverse leaders who change the world. So if that's our vision, our big goal, we need to think about the fact we have a lot of time on our hands, and in 6 weeks, what are some things you want to have done or completed or be productive or you can check off in certain buckets of your life? So 1, I want you to think about in 6 weeks, I want blank to be done. Just think about that. Now, did you think about something you want done for your family? Did you think about something that you want done for your friends, remembering that friends are virtual? I know y'all can Vine and Snapchat and all that stuff, so y'all are still connected. Did you think of something that you wanted to be done for school or Leaders in Training or other groups that you're part of? So that's what I'm going to talk about, the buckets. Now, here are some buckets I put up here. It could be family, friends, hashtag virtual friends, do not be talking to people right now, in contact with each other. 3, school, 4, Leaders in Training, or 5, other. Now, if you are Leaders in Training or not, I want you on a piece of paper somewhere to write down 5 headings or 5 buckets. Here, again, I've written down family, friends, virtual, school, lit, and other. You do not have to use these 5 headings. I want you to think about your life and you as a person. There are many facets of your leadership and who you are. Your family, your friends, school, work, all facets of your life. Come up with the 5 buckets that you think are most important to you. As you know, usually you'd have to talk to your neighbor to process, so we'll just give you a second to think about this and write it down. Sorry you can't talk to your neighbor about it. So remember, we thought about in 6 weeks, I want to get blank done. There are some things you want to get done, and when you thought about that, you thought of things in different buckets. So now we wrote down the 5 buckets that we want to get things done in. I'm going to use an example that all of us at Leaders in Training can have in common and really think about. So 1, we can think about maybe one goal in 6 weeks that you have for Leaders in Training is to complete a personal statement. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but I have a bucket. It's my bucket number 4. My bucket number 4 of things I want done in 6 weeks. There is something in 6 weeks I want done for Leaders in Training, and I have all this writing here. Pretend all this writing wasn't here, and I actually started at, in 6 weeks, what do I want to be done in Leaders in Training to be productive, to have as one of my goals each day around. So if one thing is I want to have a complete personal statement for my college applications, in 6 weeks, if I want that done, I need to backwards plan. Everybody say, backwards plan. Thank you. I need to backwards plan how I'm going to get it done. So if in 6 weeks I want my personal statement done, by week 5, I need to have a final draft sent to my mentor. It makes sense, because if I have a final draft to send to my mentor, that mentor can then give me feedback, and I can have a complete personal statement draft. But what needs to happen before I send a final draft to my mentor? What are some things I need to do? Well, there are no wrong or right answers, but something I'm thinking about is, before I even send the draft to my mentor to try to get done, maybe because I'm bored and feel alone, I can send my example to 3 people that I know. Maybe I can text them a copy. Maybe I can make them a Google Sheet that I share. Maybe I'll call them on the phone or through Facebook Live and read it to them. Because I'm thinking if I talk to 3 people and I got them to give me feedback, I would use their feedback to get my final draft that would help me get my personal statement draft. This is backwards planning. We're going backwards on purpose. You'll see in a second why. Okay, so if that's what I do my 4th week, what could I do my 3rd week? Well, before I even send this to 3 people, because I don't want them to think I'm dumb, even though there's no such thing as being dumb, you're smart. Everybody say, I'm smart. Thank you. It's about effort. No wrong or right answer. But I know that sometimes we care about what other people think. So before I send it to 3 people, I am actually going to send it to my mentor to get edits. So again, backwards planning. If I have a complete personal statement, before that I should send a final statement draft to my mentor. Before that, I could send it to 3 people to get their thoughts. But before I even send it to 3 people, I want to send it to my mentor so that they can give me feedback. But what are they going to give me feedback on? Well, they're going to give you feedback on what you did the 2nd week, which is the first draft. So automatically you should think, if I have week 2, what I want to get done is my 1st week draft, then week 1 I need to have a brainstorm. So now let's go through the list in order, so not backwards map. In 6 weeks, I want to have a complete personal statement. Well, then week 1, I will have a brainstorm completed. Week 2, I will have a first draft that needs to be completed. Week 3, I will send it to my mentor to get feedback. Week 4, I will send that new draft to 3 people so I can have some connectivity in my life in a safe way. So after I send it and get their feedback, week 5, I'm going to send my final draft to my mentor. They're going to give me final edits. And week 6, I will have my completed personal statement that Miss Muska has been asking for the end of days for a long time. Look at that! Even when you're not in school and got all the time to yourself, you can actually get some things done. So I want you to take a second here. We'll pause for some processing time. You should have 5 buckets. I don't care what your buckets are. Maybe they're your significant other, maybe they're your sibling, maybe it's volunteering, because so many people have asked me how they're supposed to possibly volunteer during this time. Now this is only one goal that I want done in 6 weeks. I should be able to come up with one goal under each category. So think about it. If I have one goal done in 6 weeks in 5 categories, how many goals is that? Good, I heard you say 5. So that's 5 goals. That is a great place to start. So in lesson 1, we talked about structure. In this lesson 2, it's about to be over. Thank you for listening the whole time. We talked about how to backwards plan one goal. Before we can get to step 3, which is then how to daily plan based on my long-term goal, because remember in lesson 1 we talked about have 5 things you do each day. I need you to fill out at least one goal for all of these. If you're in Leaders in Training, we're actually going to be checking it. You are going to be talking to your mentor about it. It will be on the Google Sheet. If you are not in Leaders in Training, have a friend look at it, have your parent look at it, or just be accountable to yourself because you're a leader, and figure out a way that you come up with 5 goals under 5 categories that are important to you, that you want something done in 6 weeks. I want to completely change my house, my room, or whatever. Maybe you want to do a whole redecoration. We'll come up with at the end in 6 weeks, what do you want done? And then backwards map, what do you have to get done every week before that to get there? So the output or the homework is, before you turn on the next video, I need you to make sure you have at least one goal under each category. So that means when you have one goal, you'll have 6 to-dos for 6 weeks, with the 6th one being your final goal. All right, thanks, people. I know that was super long. Have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe. See you next time.